And good morning. Welcome to your Monday, March the 14th, 2022, to be exact. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is Things You Might Have Heard. We call ourselves your non-primary, more tertiary source of news. We know we're not your main source of news. We're not the main news gathering source. There's not a lot of folks behind the scenes out there, out in Kyiv or out in Russia or out doing the big heavy work. But we aggregate from some of the best places and some of the kind of weirder places to go through the best stories that you vet to tell us that we're going to talk about. Today is Monday, so we welcome in folks for the expanded universe. I've also sent this out not just to the This is the Conversation Project audience, but also to the folks on my J. Cleveland Payne pages. So welcome to the show. If you enjoy this, make sure you follow us on the websites and the links you see at the top right of this page for This is the Conversation Project. Maybe left, it may be opposite, I don't know, because I'm looking into the camera and it's like a mirror back at me. So that's how these things work. So what we're going to present to you are 7 news stories that you can take with you to whatever water cooler or just random situation that you have that you can talk with folks about that aren't necessarily the big stories. And yes, there is some Russia involved. Russia is basically everywhere, so there's something about Russia inside of this thing, or Ukraine specifically. But these are some other stories that you may have missed with all the things going on for the weekend. This pulled from Friday morning to early this morning, about 5 a.m. Central Time. So we have 4-ish days to deal with, 3.5 days to deal with. So we'll go through 7 stories for the day, and we'll explain how we chose these 7 stories at the end of the program. But let's get to the story so you can get your knowledge on right now. Starting off with the first story, Texas catcher Preston Hoffart caught drinking during game. HeartlandCollegeSports.com gave us this one. And this one that popped up fairly early on Friday, and this one dominated everything. This one was a big deal for a lot of folks. Maybe you're not a baseball follower or a college baseball follower, but somebody out there in the Twitterverse and the Facebook world decided that this was going to be heavy hitting. This has one of the largest responses we've had in a long time to a story, essentially dominating all of the activity for the weekend with just one story, people hitting it up or people getting it in their impressions and people reacting to it as well. Serious, simple, and it's what happened. Pitcher for Texas, Preston Hoffart, was caught drinking during a game. In fact, in the world where we are highlighting the fact that there's a war going on that's being shot and detailed over things like TikTok, someone with social media, someone with an Instagram account caught a picture of Preston Hoffart pulling from something in the dugout, and it looked like a flask, and they checked it out, and it pretty much was a flask. Not a really good look to be drinking on the job, especially if your job is a college catcher, just hanging out in the dugout, suspended indefinitely for whatever he was taking in for the time. He's a transfer from a smaller school, so he came in from a smaller school, and this is his year to kind of show out. Early season, not quite showing out as it seems. Let's move on to the story at the second spot this week, or this morning, I should say. U.S. journalist Brent Renaud killed in Ukraine in shooting near Kyiv. Bloomberg.com gave us this one, and there were a lot of thoughts and prayers going out from many folks in the journalistic community, also a lot of folks just watching what's going on. The 50-year-old U.S. citizen is essentially journaling what's happening in the Ukraine as Russian tanks and Russian fighters are rolling in and doing what they can to take over a sovereign nation. Without people who are covering this thing, yes, there are the citizens who do have the social media, but without people giving context, people, literally giving their lives in the forces here to tell us what's happening, it's hard to really understand what's going on. You can tell this by looking and similarly at the Russian media, where they are basically shutting down everything and saying, if you tell people it's a war, we will arrest you. There's a big difference in free journalism and just people talking heads telling you what you're being told. We are sending out our thoughts and prayers for the family of Brent Renaud, killed in Ukraine during a shooting near Kyiv. And one of the weird things about the story is there's the big part of the story is there were 2 journalists kind of there from 2 different organizations. One was in a hospital, and that one in the hospital essentially saying, my friend, he's lying in the street, please go take care of him to get his body. The friend is also injured, but he's worried about this guy who may have been, and we found out did get killed in the shooting on the street. This is not the only death here, so we will sort of save the thoughts and prayers for a later part in the show, because there are some other folks lost throughout the weekend. Someone who did not lose seems to be Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, maybe of the Houston Texans. Not quite sure if he's actually a part of the team still, but the grand jury in Texas declined to indict Deshaun Watson on criminal charges. ESPN.com is our source for this. And what criminal charges are we talking about? Mostly sexual harassment and rape charges. Deshaun Watson, who seems like a pretty good guy and takes care of folks around the neighborhood and community and literally around the stadium. There was a time where I don't know if it was lockout or something was happening, and Deshaun Watson paid the bills for the ladies who cooked the meals for the guys in the training camp. But apparently he has issues with women that are of the dating age, and that was the deal. A whole bunch of women came out with sexual harassment stories to say that Deshaun Watson not a safe guy. Grand jury is declining to push on that. That part of Deshaun Watson and his sort of alleged predatory activity was a big reason for a lot of people jumping ship from the Texans. A lot of people, including players and staff and executives, because they just not want to deal with the headache and issues going off to other places. Some were greener pastures, some were either in bigger slog. But a team like the Houston Texans was built to win and had issues. A lot of those issues dealt around the cloud that was Deshaun Watson. We will see whether he stays the quarterback for the Texans, whether he goes someplace else, whether he becomes someone who gets blacklisted. That's highly doubtful at this point. But as of right now, grand jury is not going to indict Deshaun Watson. So that is a good thing. Deadpool 3 is coming. It's bringing in Shawn Levy, who has previously worked with Ryan Reynolds on Free Guy and the Adam Project, to direct the upcoming MCU movie. Yes, I pulled the most obviously obnoxious, longly title for that one, but that's what it is. And the source for this one is IGN.com, but this was all over the place. We pulled from 30 different stories over the 89 stories you had in the weekend. So some things are lighter, some things not, and some things they just sort of get weighed down in the is this actually pushing is actually advancing a story. This is a story being advanced. Deadpool 3 is a story, a movie in the MCU, sort of, that is going to come, and we kind of knew what's going on. Now they have a director to it. People are really, really getting psyched up, especially since they loved his work in Free Guy. And Adam Project is getting some sort of mixed reviews right now. Brand new on Netflix over the weekend. I've not seen it yet, but getting some weird reviews on this one. We'll see how that affects this. But we are going to see Ryan Reynolds hang out with Shawn Levy, not doing the Adam Project, but in Deadpool 3, then coming to theaters or by streaming box eventually. They get some work into it. I told you there were more people we lost this weekend, 2 to be exact. This first one, William Hurt, the Oscar-winning actor who starred in films like Body Heat, The Big Chill, and Broadcast News, has died at the age of 71. We get this from RollingStone.com. He also has a Marvel connection, an MCU connection, because he plays General Thunderbolt Ross, the recurring character popping up in the MCU, who debuted in the Hulk and oddly enough actually stayed around. No one else from the Hulk got to stay around. They recast everybody thought from there, but he's staying around as General Thunderbolt Ross, who is a big deal in the Marvel universe for comics and a big deal for the MCU for the movies. So we will see how that will play along in further movies, how his role will be taken, whether it's recast, whether it's written out as a different general. We'll see how that rolls out. But the big thing is from the big films, Big Hurt, Body Heat, and Big Chill, big movies from way back in the 80s, and Broadcast News, which was revolutionary. Those are the actual serious things he's been a part of. The MCU stuff seems kind of silly, but it's new and it's relevant, so it's there. We also have lost this week from the Braxton family. Tracy Braxton of the Braxton Family Values show and the Braxton family, also dying at age of 50. She was dealing with esophageal cancer, which I will butcher, always butcher all the time, but essentially cancer of the esophagus. MSN.com, the aggregator from there, gave us this link to this story, and we are sending out our prayers to that family, as well as the Hurt family, as well as the family of the journalist killed in Kyiv. A lot of people that we just turned into our web for news turned up on this way, and it was very important to give the news on these people who had pretty good contributions to the world, as opposed to some of the sillier things and some of the more petty things that popped up in the range of the feed. We'll explain that in a bit as well. We're also take a quick break from news to have one more story, and it's going to make it much, much lighter and lighter on the pocketbooks for some companies. While I talk about things that won't make your pocketbook as light as you think. I am right now waiting for a pair of Zeni Optical glasses, a brand new pair of glasses to come in, mostly because these glasses I'm wearing here are a prescription that's about 2.5 years old. I got my eyes checked about 6 months ago and just didn't get glasses. And now, because you guys voted for me to wear my glasses in these things, I need to see what's in front of me. So new glasses coming. Also a cool little tint. We're going to try that out. See, that helps out with some of the glare that's happening. Zeni Optical is the best place for you to get glasses, bar none, guaranteed. I'm not just saying that because I am an affiliate sponsor. They're affiliate sponsor of this program. I'm saying that because I'm a customer and have been for a long time. Great looking glasses, all the technology you're looking for, such as blue blocking lenses and transitions lenses and shatterproof lenses and scratch resistance and bifocals and trifocals and goggles and things like that. All what you're looking for, great looking glasses and very, very, very affordable prices. The frames I normally get for these right here, because I lose them all the time, they start at $6.95 and they go all the way up to as much as you want to pay for them, but they're not just cheap, stupid, silly glasses. There are beautiful looking, great pairs of glasses. And if you don't like them, you're not stuck with them. You just send them back and they will refund you, just like any other optical place that online that sends you glasses. You don't have to keep them. So check them out at thisisaconversationproject.com/Zeni. Thisisaconversationproject.com/Zeni. Check out Zeni Optical and you will fall in love with their eyewear. This is an affiliate link, as we said, so we get a little bit back from what you buy there. It costs you nothing extra. We get a little piece for a referral, but you will get the great gift of good eyesight, better than these, because I have to get the updates coming. So you'll see in a few days how the updates look, and we'll see if we're going back to buying these. But let's get back to the news stories right now. And this one is going to cost some money for some folks. Joe Buck expected to leave Fox Sports for a huge ESPN deal. NewYorkPost.com gave us this version of it, but it was all over the internet that Joe Buck may be headed to ESPN to join up with Troy Aikman, who is probably headed to ESPN, and they will now host one game a week, guaranteed, Monday Night Football on the ESPN and other specials as well. This brings more questions and answers, because number one, we don't know where these guys are actually going yet until the contracts are signed. Number two, Joe Buck calls baseball. Baseball is normally held on Fox. If not the World Series, it's definitely one of the NCLS series. So who's going to call baseball for Fox? Who knows? There's a musical chair that's going on right now where things are shuffling, things are moving on. Mike Tirico is supposed to be moving into the booth for Sunday Night Football. That was, I think, was guaranteed when he came over to NBC, was he would be calling games for Sunday Night Football, not sitting the bench. Al Michaels is sort of in limbo right now. Tony Romo has a contract they're thinking about, and Jim Nantz is retiring, as far as I understand, and giving up at least the football stuff. He may be giving up the whole shebang, including the golf thing as well. So there is musical chairs in the big seats for the broadcasters for their football A1 teams. And we'll see how this thing works out. There's always a bit of a shuffle because some people come in, some people try it out, some people move to different areas, and they move a lot of people from the booth to the desk just to see how it works out. We will see if Joe Buck and Troy Aikman take the show from Fox to the ESPN and just basically shuffle from a different network on a different night. This will be to be continued. Now, we're going to go real quick to what we call a teaser story. This is a story that is going to post in a few hours that you may want to talk about. We'll explain how the whole process of the talk thing works in just a moment. But let's go to this story right here. And the story happens to be this one right here. Switching over. Going to the big screen for this one. Headline: college baseball coach fired for horrible accusations of abuse, including phallic helicopter swings. Now, if you're a wrestling fan, you've heard of something called the plane trip from hell. You kind of have a good idea of what they're talking about here. And if you don't, well, you might want to check out the story when it comes live and click on it and read it deeply. A college baseball coach, one player is now suspended indefinitely for just getting drunk on the job, getting drunk while in the dugout. This coach, for being a jerk and doing really stupid stuff, is now out of a job completely. But what did he do? Check it out. And then if you want to talk about this one, we'll bring it up later. because you have to bring it up to us later to get into that. Now, how does the later work? Let me tell you about the main websites that house the work for things you might not have heard. First is this is a conversationproject.com, the home of the Conversation Project, where you can find out what the Conversation Project is all about. It is basically a way to present news stories, some of the lesser news stories, to people around the world to have conversations on how important they are, what they mean, what they do. And so, yes, the Russian news story is the all-encompassing what should be broadcast, most important thing going on, or the Ukrainian story with Russia, if you particularly. But there are other stories out there that are of some interest, including the Deadpool 3 story. Interesting. A lot of people are going to go see that. So that's a thing to check out. Also, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Our Facebook and Twitter feeds are This is a Conversation Project on Facebook and th_conversation on Twitter. That's how you actually get to vote up the stories. Follow those sites, those feeds, those pages. And as you check in on your normal feed stuff on Facebook and Twitter, yeah, I know everybody's on the TikTok, but we can't really put it on a TikTok. We got to do it on here. As you check the feeds on Facebook and Twitter, check out the links. Like them, love them, hate them, share them, read them, get into the stories. And the higher engagement story gets, the better chance it gets of being told here on this little show here. Now, on Monday mornings, we go from Friday morning to Monday morning. That's 3 full days and a little chunk of Monday. So we go from the top 30 stories, pick from the top 30 stories of what's usually about 90 stories. Today, about 89 stories. And then we sift through and pick 7 of the stories to present to you out of the top 30 stories of the weekend. Tuesday through Friday, we'll go top 15 stories out of what's mostly 30 to 35 stories within a daytime. So less stories to choose from, and we'll do you 5 stories, less stories presented throughout the week. But for Monday, because it's so much bigger, we try to do 2 extra stories and try to keep it within the range of time, less than 20 minutes. And it looks like we're going to hit that today. We also give you a few extra things that you might not have heard, including birthdays for celebrities. Going out to Steph Curry, basketball wizard, not quite a wizard, actually, he's a warrior. Billy Crystal, a basketball fan, and Simone Biles, all celebrating March 14th birthdays on this day. March 14, 314 means today is National Pie Day. Whatever you like your pie to be, the dessert kind or the pizza kind or maybe the quiche kind. So that's breakfast kind. Quiche is a pie, by the way. Celebrate your pie day with whatever favorite pie you having. Today, I think we're having pizzas to our pie for home tonight. That has been, one last thing I should say that you might not have known for this day. Hidden Valley Ranch once created a ranch diamond, an actual diamond using actual ranch seasoning. There's a diamond out there they created when they compressed it with whatever carbon, added a little bit of ranch so it's extra spicy in your diamond. Real thing, real deal. And now, let's wrap it up. This has been Things You Might Not Have Heard for Monday, March 14th, 2022. My name, Jay Cleveland Payne. This show brought to you by many sponsors. Check out our website, thisisaconversationproject.com/sponsors, for a way to see some more of those sponsors and find ways to help us out. You can also help us out by becoming a partner with us. Go to the same website /partnerships and find out ways that you can essentially pay directly to get things going. You can go to buymeacoffee.com. You can send us some money via a Cash App or Venmo. There are other ways there as well that you can help support the efforts here for the Conversation Project and other projects inside of More Better Media. Till tomorrow, where we give you tomorrow 5 stories to chat about at the water cooler. I am, like I said a moment, Jay Cleveland Payne, wrapping things up, getting things ready. If you want to talk about that college baseball story, go check it out. Coming down in a few moments. It's going down. That's what's happening. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Let's do it again tomorrow.